TLDR, I'm opening a Patreon to raise money to cover more stuff on this channel. If you're not interested in donating or just curious about why this is happening in the first place, then you're good, you don't need to keep watching this video. Otherwise, I'm going to explain why I'm doing this first, and then go into a bit of a more detailed description of the actual Patreon campaign, so there's a timestamp to skip to the part about what your money actually does. So, a lot of people have been wanting me to do Xenogears and Xenosaga, and you might have remembered a certain survey I put out when I hit 10,000 subscribers. The first item on that survey was, do Xenogears and Xenosaga. Almost 90% of you said you wanted that, so I'm doing it. The only problem is, I can't afford the materials I need in order to record those games in the quality I'd like to do, because those are games on PS1 and then a PS2 trilogy. All you need is a PS2 for that. I have a capture card that can record a PS2, but let's see, old games, they're expensive, didn't get printed a lot, they're expensive, didn't sell too well, they're expensive. Even a used PS2 is relatively expensive compared to other old consoles because the PS2 was a very prized console. Then add to that the fact that that is a standard def thing that I'd be shooting through an HDMI capture card, and you get some pretty awful video quality. So if you want to fix that, you need an upscaler. The best upscaler in the business costs about as much as the games and the console combined. So, you run into a bit of a money problem there, and people are saying, oh, just emulate. First off, I don't emulate unless it's a game that literally has never been legally released in North America. Like, I'll emulate Mother 3, fine, but Xenogears and Xenosaga, no, those have official releases. And trust me, this is less expensive than buying a PS3 just for Gears, because you do that, even then it's less quality than playing the PS1 game on an upscaled PS2, and on top of that, you still need to get the PS2 for all the Xenosaga games, so this is the most cost-effective method, and also, obviously, I want my video quality to be the best it possibly could be, and this doesn't require me to buy a second capture card, just an upscaler as well, so I can stick with the Elgato I've got, which works fine. It's what I've been using for literally everything else. Xenoblade 1 off the Wii U is the best way you can get it to look without emulating, so there you go. Plus, also worth mentioning, I'm using a laptop. It's a fairly good laptop, but it's mostly just a school computer. I'm using that for all my recording and editing and streaming, which is why my production value isn't as high as it probably should be, because my computer literally can't handle previewing some of the things I've tried to do, so I can't tell if it worked properly, so I can't actually implement it, because that would require rendering small sections of the video constantly to see if they checked out, and that takes even more time than making a video actually does. And getting all this stuff is still cheaper than getting a computer that I might not be able to fit in the dorm room I'm in, that could actually emulate things well enough, plus authentic stuff as much as possible. And also, I'm going to put together a second channel that's going to be where I upload stream highlights and let's plays and other stuff that's not part of the main brand. That's coming eventually soon, TM. It's mostly dependent on me getting the new art for this channel, like the new profile picture and banner and that stuff. Once I do that, I feel okay to dump the old stuff onto a second channel and start doing that. That's literally the thing holding me back for now. But I also intend to, I'm not going to let's play or stream those games, I'm going to just record them, because as an experience, I want me to be alone when I'm playing through these games for the first time. I will still upload the raw recordings just as a long play to the second channel, just as a, do you want some super authentic, extremely high quality footage of Xenogears and the Xenosaga games? Well, there you go. I don't know if anyone else has done that in that high fidelity before, so that's just another thing that it's out there and I feel like providing. You might think, oh, work for your money, and sure, I would do that. Technically, making these videos is working for money. But I am also a full-time college student, and will be for at least the next 2 years after this one. Which means, you're probably thinking, I am too tired, busy, or depressed to actually work. And yes! So, I can't really control a lot of this stuff. By the way, it's an aside, I also can't do a summer job because of a specific logistical thing related to how my school functions. I have to take a summer semester and then do something over the fall semester so basically, the first semester, I'm a sophomore, first semester of my junior year, bumped up to summer 2019 instead of fall 2020, and then during fall 2020 I have to do another thing, so I would just work over the summer and raise money for that easily, but I'm not going to be able to get a summer job until the summer of 2020, and I don't want to wait on doing the other games until then. So, woo, there we go. We're in a bit of an impasse, and I also asked the Patreon question there, and surprisingly, more people wanted Patreon than they did me covering the games I wanted to fund through Patreon. So, yeah, you'll notice the first goals will be Xenogears and Xenosaga, but beyond that, I will use the Patreon, because I'll keep it up as long as I feel it's necessary. If it doesn't get much interest after that, which I can't blame you, those are the big things, then I'll just probably end it, use ad revenue for everything, or just pay out of pocket. I don't really care. Beyond Gears and Saga, everything else is just a bonus, but that would go towards other things, like being able to commission art for thumbnails and stuff more often, possibly getting an actual editing rig, which would be great. Yeah, throw in some bait and kaitos eventually. I want to become the Monolith Soft guy, not just the Xenoblade guy, not just the Xeno guy, but I'd like to finish the whole Xeno thing before I get into other Monolith Soft properties, so obviously Gears and Saga come first. So, that's basically why I'm doing this, but what's coming out of this? If you go to the Patreon page, you'll see I have 3 goals. The first one is the Golden Sun streams. Now, that being there as a goal was kind of an unintentional thing. I didn't really know what I was doing when I was first making the Patreon account. So, it said that you put all your stuff together and it has to go through review. I thought that meant that an actual person would manually review it. I'd have to wait a few hours and get either a yes or no on the page I put together. So when I first put there, the lowest amount of reward I had was the $150 a month for Xenogears. And I was thinking, okay, they might think I'm getting a little greedy there, the person who's reviewing it, so I'll put something lower just to add a low enough number where I feel like I'll easily be able to reach it soon. As in, before I get the second channel going, which is where the uploads for this will go, so that's why I haven't started yet. So I just put Golden Sun streams at 30. I will be streaming Golden Sun as soon as the second channel goes up. That is a given, regardless of whether or not it meets that goal. I just had it there, so random Patreon employees and other people looking at it don't think I'm insane, and being a new creator with 10,000 subscribers who's had daily declining view counts is getting so arrogant to think that the first thing you get is $150. So, $150, Xenogears. Basically, all the stuff I need combined is roughly $800 US. If you take out the Xenosaga games, those combined are about 200 of it. PS2 is about 120, Xenogears is, I think, 25 to 50, depending on how good the quality you want it. And I want to be able to display my Xenogames collection, so I could just get a used thing that's just the discs, but I want the original case and stuff, and that obviously like doubles the price. Then, upscaler to get the really good one is about 400, and then some auxiliary stuff brings it up to 800, so basically, 3/4 of the cost is needed just to do Xenogears, and then another 200, or another 25% of it is just the Saga game, so I split Gears and Saga into separate things. It's a long RPG, it'll take me plenty of time to get through Xenogears, so I'm not too worried about running out of material instantly, only starting out with Gears and then having to do Saga later. So that's why 150 is first, and then I upped it by 25% to get to 200 to do Saga. It's worth noting that, for the time being, all the Patreon money is going to go directly into funding that stuff. So I'm going to hold on to a total. I don't think I'm actually going to withdraw any of the Patreon money from my Patreon account until I reach enough to either afford the stuff or just kind of get enough to where I'm okay with splitting it with that and ad revenue / out of pocket. So that number will go down over time. I have it as 150 now, because if I get 150 immediately, I can expect reasonably close to that amount for at least a couple months, and then, wowee, there we go. I'll have enough that I could easily split that out of pocket, and that just makes sense. So basically, depending on how long it takes to reach the 150, that goal might go down over time, and once I hit the Gears goal, the Saga one is going to plummet immediately. So it'll work out pretty well. If the 150 seems daunting, it'll probably stay 150 for a couple months if it isn't completely funded, but it will drift down over time, and after that, the goals will be a lot smaller, and will just be things like, oh, here's this cool thing, and maybe I'll save 10 to 15% of patron money, in hopes of getting a better computer once I'm living in a bigger space that can actually accommodate it. So, rewards. You probably want that. Well, again, college student. Not really much cool stuff I can do, unfortunately. I don't have the resources or the talent to do a lot of the really cool things that I see a lot of people doing with their Patreons. Even time-wise, I can't do, oh, special video, special podcast just for patrons, and that's also kind of against my ideas. I want to give as much content as I possibly can, hence not locking the Xenogears and Saga long plays behind anything. Those will just be uploaded once I'm done. So, there are still, how many tiers do I have? I should have a page open while I'm doing this because I'm kind of an idiot. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers. And basically, $5 is the big one. That gets you the majority of stuff. For $1, I gave all the tiers some cute Xenoblade themed names. $1 is Rook. Basically, you get a patron chat in my Discord server, and then a patron announcements channel, which is basically a thing that'll update a lot more frequently. So it's a bit more transparent stuff about what I'm doing for future videos and that kind of thing. And then you also get the ability to vote on patron polls. The example I made was which Xenoblade 1 character I make in D&D next, but this will definitely be other video topics in general. I put the D&D thing because that's the one ongoing series that I'd be doing with that stuff. And I know not a lot of people are into that, but a lot of people like it, so I'm going to keep doing it. So it was probably a bad example, but whatever. Bumping up to $5, you get the most important tier, which is, of course, named after Finch's Merc group named the Albatrojans. This is the one where, look at that, you get early videos, you get outtakes, you get your name in the end slates, you get video scripts, and you get all the previous stuff. So, basically, there is going to be a second set of 2 channels in the patron folder in my Discord server. One is a read-only channel where I post all the outtakes and all that stuff. They'll also be posted on Patreon. And then a discussion thing just for those things. So there are only 4 patron Discord channels, and that's what you do. Major videos basically means the big Sunday ones, the ones that are always longer than 10 minutes and all that stuff. Remember, this is going up probably on Sunday by my time zone, but there's going to be a Monday video instead. That will not count as a major video for April, so if you pledge, you'll not get your stuff in that video, but you will for this Sunday's video. So a lot of the other videos are less edited and less core to my channel, so I do the structured end slates and outros only for that stuff, so it only makes sense to do that. But early uploads, that's usually just for the major videos. I'll try to finish them early, get them out Friday night, Saturday morning, that kind of thing, so you get to see it a little earlier. I'll try to remember to not put the ads in before like the actual upload date, so like 10 minutes before I swap it from unlisted to public, I'll put all the ads in and then do that and then tweet it and all that stuff. So you get to see it without ads because you're giving me $5 a month is far more money than I'll get just from you watching a video, watching all the videos all the way through. So that's, I think, a very fair trade-off. Half of you probably use adblock anyway, in which case, please donate to my Patreon because I'm not getting that money from you, so you better make up for that and all the other people who use adblock. Outtakes, pretty self-explanatory. I don't always record things in one take like I'm doing for this one, so there's bound to be some funny stuff, and I'll just save the good snippets, dump them in an outtake file. You'll probably get a .wav file because my Audacity doesn't do MP3s for some reason, and there you go. Name in the end slate, I'll try to figure out how to do that by next weekend. And then written scripts or notes. I don't do that often. A lot of people say I should do it more, so I'm going to use having to give it to people as an excuse to do it more often, basically. So it's probably just going to be some Word documents or the like. Bunch of bullet lists, probably. But there you go. That'll all those will probably be collected. Outtakes, scripts, those will be collected in just a Google Drive folder. And because I don't want everything to always be locked behind a paywall, those will eventually be released to everyone. And by eventually, I mean I'm going to stockpile them in every quarter. So this will start out, starting with next Sunday's video, we'll begin Q2 2019. So I'll group them by month and then by video. After a quarter ends, I'll dump all that stuff in one big folder, and then 1 month after the end of the quarter, everything will be released for the public. So Q2 2019 is April, May, and June. And at the end of July, I will release all the scripts and all the outtakes for that at once. seems to make a bit of sense. Then above that, you're just paying more for slightly more recognition for me, because I feel like $5 is a small enough amount where the really dedicated people will want to see this would pay, and anyone who wants to pay more will just get the other stuff, because it's more of a supporting the content than getting rewards thing. So $10 or more, it's just the name shout out. I will verbally say your name in addition to having it somewhere on the screen during the end slate. Hopefully this doesn't get too many people and artificially extend the videos. I'm not limiting the amount of people on that one, but I have limited the top 2 tiers, which are Chain Attack, limited to 3 people. Basically, claim this tier if you are a content creator and want me to specifically shout you out in a couple end slates. We could just get in contact, I'll talk to you about what you do, I'll make a 1 to 2 sentence blurb, and once I'm done going through all the people who paid $10 to get their name said, I will say, and blah blah blah, Chain Attack patrons, you featuring this person who does this stuff, and then I guess I'll put links to your stuff in the description, whatever you do, because it's whatever you do. If you're an artist, a musician, a fellow YouTuber, it's just another backwards way of paying back to the community, because you have to pay me to get the shout out, but I don't know, I don't feel like a lot of people would take advantage of that. But then we get the Hero Pond tier. Obviously, you get everything else, including the creator shoutouts. That's a maximum of 4 creator shoutouts a month, which I doubt I'll ever hit. And then you also get to suggest a video topic to me, and assuming it's something within the scope of what I cover, which is right now just Xenoblade, will eventually include Gears, Saga, and Golden Sun, among other things possibly. And I will try to make it happen as long as it's something I'm comfortable with. You can provide your own information, like if you want to do it as a joint thing where you give me this stuff and I'll just talk about it. I won't read your script out, I'll draw the line there, but we can work it out on a person-by-person basis, but keep in mind that I am tracking who claims this, and I'm going to limit it to once per calendar year per person. So I could end up doing a patron video every month, and I'd love to do that because that means I'm getting $50 every month, which is $600 a year, which is a large amount of money. But I don't want one person to hog the spotlight. I want multiple people's voices to be heard. So if you try to claim this tier multiple times within 1 calendar year, so don't try to do it twice in 2019, I will take your money, and if someone else, the next person to pay $50, they won't be able to claim the tier, I'll get in contact with and try to do a video with them, but I'll also, you can't really stop I think you could like block people, but you can't stop people from claiming a tier, so I'm going honor system on this one. I can internally track whether or not you've claimed it, but please don't try to do this multiple times. I will get angry at you and just take your money and give you nothing in return, so you probably don't want to incur that wrath. Anyway though, this has been like 20 minutes of me rambling about Patreon. The link's up. Hopefully I'll get enough people where I'll be able to start incorporating this stuff into videos by next weekend. This is going up a little too late this weekend for me to put it in the Monday video, but hey, maybe I'll procrastinate that enough where I will end up putting some stuff in it. That remains to be determined, although it's a fair game for outtakes and script stuff. So Monday's video, the April Fool's special, will be in the April outtakes and the April scripts, but it probably won't have the Patreon outro. So it's going to be a transition period. I hope things go well, because I'm invested in this stuff now. But until next time, this is Luxon, signing off.